Welcome back, everybody, to the High Elevation Podcast channel, where I continue my rankings of the top 10 players at each position of Major League Baseball. Last time we did first base, which top to bottom was one of the most stacked positions, where we move on to second base in this episode, where, to say the least, it is not as impressive. That being said, this was still a very fun list to make. I hope you guys enjoy. Leave your feedback on whether you agree or disagree, and let's hop right into the rankings. Starting off at number 10, I have Jake Cronenworth of the San Diego Padres. Now, truth be told, when I was making this list, I did not think Cronenworth would make it. I had guys like Brendan Donovan and Bo Bichette on this list that would have kicked him off. But with both of them playing third base, including Jorge Polanco going to first base, all of a sudden, Jake Cronenworth finds himself on this list as the 10th best second baseman in the league. And I like Cronenworth at second base more than I do any other position. I think it is truly his natural position, as this has been kind of a utility man for the Padres. That being said, last year, he hit 246 with a 744 OPS, 11 homers. It's nothing special. His defense, below average, nothing special. But with second base being a weak position and Jake Cronenworth being an average player, that in this position will sneak you on to the top 10. Curious to see now with Arise gone and more of a stable position at second base, if Cronenworth does take that next step where he reverts back to his rookie form. I'm not convinced of that. However, I do like him better than everyone else that is not on this list. So Jake Cronenworth, solid player, don't love him, number 10. Coming in at number 9, I have Ozzie Albies of the Atlanta Braves. Now, if this was a 2023, this guy is my number 1, number 2 second baseman in the league. However, 2 extremely disappointing years since, but I think people are a little too low on Albies. I think you still see the potential there. His K rate is one of the best among second basemen. His whiff rate is not that bad as well. Yes, his barrel percentage absolutely sucks, which is usually the inverse what you see in players. Usually you see them being able to barrel up the ball, but they struggle with the whiff rate. I don't know. I know a lot of Ozzie Albies' baseball savant page. You're going to see a lot of blue. His bat feed isn't great. Bat speed isn't great. His chase rate isn't great. Hard hit, barrel, etc., etc. But I see his K rate. I see his whiff rate. I see what he's done in the past. And I don't know. At a weak position, I'm not too low on Albies. I still think he's one of the 10 best second basemen, especially when you consider that upside, because you know that upside is there. Yes, another down year probably drops him off this list, but I don't know. I believe more in Albies than I do probably a lot of other guys at this position. And you're going to see going on with this, it's a lot of guys who haven't done well in the past couple years, but I see the upside at a weak position like this that'll get you on the list. But Albies hit 33 home runs in 2023, down to 10 in 2024, 16 in 2025. So he has the power, which is rare at second base. I just hope he puts it together again in 2026. We see that old Ozzie Albies because I know it's there. He just hit a walk-off home run in the World Baseball Classic. I don't know. I like Albies. I think he's going to have a bit of a bounce back year. Coming in at number 8, I have Gleyber Torres of the Detroit Tigers. Like Ozzie Albies, a player who was much better in 2023 and not as good in 2024 and 2025. But unlike Albies, Torres has had a lot better of a 24 and 25 than Albies had. In 2025, he put up 16 homers, hit 256, 745 OPS. You're not seeing numbers like he put up in 23 with 25 homers, 273 average, 800 OPS. But I like Torres, man. I was really skeptical of his move going from New York to Detroit. Much tougher ballpark. I know it doesn't affect righties as much as lefties, but it's still a lot tougher of a ballpark, and it still put up a 745 OPS in Detroit, an actual big improvement from 2024 where he had 708. It impressed me, and his underlying numbers absolutely clear Albies as well, which is what has him over Albies for me. But I don't know. Torres is a guy who kind of defied my expectations, if you will. I was very low on him going into 2025, but he proved to still be that solid Gleyber Torres we've come to expect. Re-signed with Detroit this past year as well. I don't know. I like him. Still don't love him in that ballpark. I think he would obviously thrive much better in other places, but I think you're going to see around the same for Torres. You're going to see around a 250 average, around a 730, 740 OPS. One thing I do love about Torres, though, he's 100th percentile in chase percentage and 95th percentile in walk percentage. Those are two numbers I absolutely love to see, and it gives me higher expectations than I thought I would have for Gleyber Torres going into 2026. But yeah, like Gleyber, I think we'll have a solid season. Excited to see what he'll do. Coming in at number 7, and arguably my most controversial pick, is the newly acquired New York Met, Marcus Semien. Look, I'm going to give it to you blunt. 2024, 2025 stunk. But just like the other two guys, he was good in 2023. And before that, we're looking at arguably the best second baseman in baseball since 2019, at least consistently. I really don't know how to feel about Semien. You see the potential. Even his underlying stuff last year still had a good chase rate, only 23.5. Good whiff rate at only 22.6. Good K rate at only 17.6. His underlying numbers suggest he was still good. Yes, his barrel rate was low. Bat speed was in the 8th percentile. That worries me. But I don't know. Compared to the last two guys in Torres and Albies, he has a very similar hit profile, at least what the numbers come out as. But his fielding is exponentially better than the both of them. I think he's a better base runner than both of them. And I trust his power more than I do both of them, especially more than Torres. So these last three, 7, 8, and 9 have all been very similar. But I think it's that fielding and base running that gives Semien the edge for me. And I think a change of scenery is going to help Semien as well. Clearly that Rangers organization since 2023, after they won the World Series, has been just a bit of a disarray. So I think he'll reinvigorate himself with the New York Mets. Bit of an exciting team down there. A very new team this year. So I don't know. We'll see. I could very well be wrong, and age will get to Semien at 35 years old, and he'll stink. But I don't know. I'm hopeful he'll bounce back, not to the number 1 second baseman in baseball stuff, but to maybe even a top 5 guy. I think it could happen. Semien has the tools. Just want to see it put it together. At number 6, we got a guy who also is getting a change of scenery in Brandon Lowe. How about Brandon Lowe last year? 31 home runs, 784 OPS with a 256 average. I did not see that coming. I thought this guy was on the downcline of his career after a very, very strong start. But wow, 21 homers in both 23 and 24 to come out with 31 and 25. I like that a lot. I do know it was in George Steinbrenner, so take it with a grain of salt. But I don't know. Brandon Lowe is someone for me who wasn't close to number 7. He's very definitively over Semien in those guys, but he isn't close to my number 5 either, who we'll get to in a second. He's very safe here at number 6. I am still cautious of Brandon Lowe, being the fact that his walk rate is abysmal, and the change of scenery to Pittsburgh is going to be a lot harder than playing in George Steinbrenner. Here, I think Pittsburgh, they got the high wall there and right, which worries me. So I don't know. Again, a lot of question marks surrounding Lowe. However, the 31 homers is real nice. His barrel percentage in the 81st percentile is real nice. Yeah, I'm excited with what the Pirates are doing down there, to be honest. This offseason's been a very good one, and I think Brandon Lowe was pretty much the highlight of that. Curious to see what he'll do in the new ballpark. Curious to see how the power translates. I do expect we see more of his 23 and 24 self. Also curious to see how the injuries hold up. Last year was pretty injury-free, at least relevant to 24 and 23, where he had 553 at-bats in 25, where he only had 425 the year before. So yeah, Brandon Lowe, I very much like him. Thought he was on the decline, but looks like he's hit a bit of a stride here at age 31. Coming in at number 5, I have Jose Altuve of the Houston Astros. And after a failed experiment in left field, in my eyes, he is slated to be their opening day starting second baseman once again, as he should be. Jose Altuve, you watch him play, he put up 26 homers last year, 265 average. You'd think that's great numbers. But you look at the underlying numbers, and his whole baseball savant page is blue. Whether you look at base running, batting, fielding, just regular sprint speed, The projections are showing he is not going to be a good player come 2026. However, what the eye test tells me, and 15 seasons of utter dominance at second base tell me, and 26 homers last year tell me, Jose Altuve will be just fine. He'll find the corrections to the swings he needs to get those numbers back up, to get those projections back up. I don't know. Obviously, his glove absolutely sucks, but it's second base. It doesn't matter that much. I mean, obviously, you got the whole cheating scandal with the Astros, so I can't say I love the guy, but purely a player outside of that. Love Jose Altuve, 5'6", crazy what he's doing. 35 years old now, though, so age a bit of a concern, just like it is Semien, but I don't know. I trust Jose Altuve to get his swing right. He's going to put up similar numbers again, which is going to get you to be a top 5 second baseman in the league. Nothing really more to add there. Jose Altuve, number 5. Coming in at number 4, I have Bryce Terang of the Milwaukee Brewers. And I really think this top 4, especially 4 through 2, is where we're getting into the great second baseman, or at least all-star caliber second baseman. Bryce Terang last year with the Brewers, 288 average with a 359 on base percentage, rocking a near 800 OPS with 18 homers. It's those 18 homers that I really like. Bryce Terang was always known, at least in my eyes, as a bit of a scrappy, really fast second baseman. Just one of these players on the Brewers that overachieve, if you will. Or who's this scrappy guy on the Brewers? But last year, nearly tripling his home run numbers from 23 and 24 in 2025. And the underlying numbers suggest they're going to stay right around there. They don't jump off the page at you, but they're not in the blue either. I really think 2025 Bryce Terang is the Bryce Terang we can come to expect, and that's easily a top 5 second baseman. And also, even though I'm just talking about his power numbers going up right now, his speed was still there, 88th percentile in sprint speed, one of the fastest second basemen in the league. I think Bryce Terang, his intangibles really will carry him almost every year. I don't see how he's a bad player as long as he can keep the power numbers at where they are now. As long as he's able to keep the power numbers relatively average for a second baseman, he will be a top 5 second baseman. However, he has to keep the power up. The underlying numbers tell me that he may do it, has a good chance, not guaranteed. But I don't know. I like Bryce Terang. Think he's going to be an all-star again this coming year in a weaker position. Bryce Terang, number 4. At number 3, I have Nico Hoerner of the Chicago Cubs. There's a lot of talk of who was the most underrated player in the league, yada yada. If there is a most underrated player in the league, I don't know how it isn't Nico Hoerner. If you talk about best players in baseball, top 50 players, 100 players in baseball, Nico Hoerner's name is not mentioned. People just don't think about him. Nico Hoerner last year put up a 6.2 WAR season. He hit nearly 300, a 297 average. So why is it that he doesn't get put in these rankings? Why is it that he gets overlooked? Because he only hit 7 home runs last year. He only hit 7 home runs in 2024. Only hit 9 in 2023. He simply doesn't have the power, and he doesn't walk much. So in a league now, which is a truly coming into a 3-out true outcome league, homer, walk, strikeout, and he doesn't do any of the 3. It's good he doesn't strike out, but he doesn't do any of the 3. It just causes him to get overlooked, and it's such a shame. Nico Hoerner was 99th percentile in whiff percentage. He was 99th percentile in K percentage at only 7.6. Nico Hoerner had some of the best, if not the best, fielding at second base. He's one of the best base runners in the league. His expected batting average last year was 98th percentile. This guy just hits the ball. Now, what stinks about him, he can't barrel a ball to save his life, he hardly walks, and he can't hit it out. And that, of course, will keep him down a bit. It will keep him down in the rankings. But people have to start putting respect on Nico Hoerner's name. He's one of the best players in baseball, and I hope people start realizing that soon. Nico Hoerner, number 3. Coming in at number 2, I have Jazz Chisholm Jr. of the New York Yankees. Jazz Chisholm is also another guy who I believe is a bit underrated, but for different reasons than Nico. Whereas no one talks about Nico, everybody talks about Jazz. Nico and Jazz are basically the polar opposite players. However, Jazz hit 31 home runs while also having great defense. I'm very happy that he has found a home in New York. It, I think, just suits his personality. It suits his play style so well, allows him these big power numbers, and I think that's great for him. He takes advantage of Yankee Stadium, which every New York Yankee lefty hitter should. I mean, I look at the numbers, and just looking at Nico's and now looking at Jazz, it's literally an inversion. His barrel rate is off the charts. He has a great walk rate, but boy, does he strike out and whiff a lot. But when you're hitting 31 homers as a second baseman while also putting up an 813 OPS with above average defense and speed, I like Jazz. I like Jazz a lot. I I mean, I do understand the concerns. I understand the K rate's an issue. I understand the whiff rate's an issue. If he puts up similar numbers again next year, I might drop him down a bit, not too much, still top 5. So I hope to see those numbers rise. But as long as those power numbers stay the same in Yankee Stadium, which I see no reason why they shouldn't, he's still going to be a top 3 second baseman in baseball. I love Jazz. Wish he was a little more consistent, I guess, is my only gripe. But I don't know. I think the hate that this guy gets is just ridiculous. He's easily a top 3 second baseman in baseball. He's arguably a top 50 player in baseball. And I hope more people start realizing that soon. Jazz Chisholm Jr., number 2. And coming in at number 1, to what should be to nobody's surprise, it is Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte, in my opinion, had a bit of a down year for his standards last year. And he still hit 283 with a near 900 OPS at 893 with 28 homers. And I only say down year because it seemed like he could have done more. But there's so many off the field issues that were happening, so many things that seemed out of his control. It was just a weird season for Marte. And he still put up incredible numbers. And need I remind any of you of his 2024 numbers where he hit 36 home runs with a 292 average and a 932 OPS. I honestly think that's the player we are going to get next year. I am so high on Ketel Marte. When I do my top 50 rankings, I might only have one second baseman, and that one second baseman might be right around the top 10. Ketel Marte, plainly put, is one of the best players in baseball. Switch hitter, does everything well. I just want you guys to go to this guy's Baseball Savant page. On the batting section, there is one blue thing, and his sweet spot percentage. Everything else is in the red, if not dark red. The guy's amazing. I wish he got a bit more coverage because he gets kind of buried down there in Arizona. Not much media coverage there. But the dude's a stud. Easily this best second baseman in baseball. One of the easiest rankings to put. Ketel Marte. Hate that the Dodgers have to face him so much every year, but I love watching him play. Ketel Marte, your number 1 second baseman going into 2026. And those are my top 10 second basemen going into 2026. As I mentioned a few times, a bit of a weaker ranking. However, I do believe it was a very strong top 4, and especially a strong top 1. Should be no debate there. But if you guys do disagree with any of my rankings, or you agree, let me know in the comments down below. Appreciate everyone for watching. And up next will be the top 10 third basemen of 2026. Thanks for watching. See you next time.